Maze Runner kind of works off this very familiar concept that a lot of science fiction works in, a lot of young adult stuff has been working off of, which is basically this idea of the one, the savior being able to come in and kind of correct sort of an imbalance. Divergent runs off it, The Hunger Games runs off it, but even if you go to something else more adult, like The Matrix, still very much works off of the one. What do you think it is about that concept that continues to resonate with people, that we keep going back to it, and nobody ever gets tired of it? We just keep going to it and we say, absolutely, the one, let him save the day.
It's just a fun, I don't know, I'm attracted to that kind of storyline. I mean, I don't know, when I was a kid, like, I always loved movies like this, when they started making the Marvel movies, like when Spider-Man first came out, all those movies, they kind of have the same formula to them, but they're just sort of timelessly, endlessly fun to watch, and they always work. It just always, there's a lot of things you can do with that sort of just general idea, and these movies, Hunger Games and Divergent, our film, they sort of share that similar kind of quality to them as well, and it's just like a fresher take on them, kind of, and I like that they're not super heroic, like these are about humans who come in and they're the one, like, for not any specific like power or anything like that.
Well, yeah, it's always kind of this one, somebody who's pushed into extraordinary circumstances.
Right, exactly. Ordinary person in extraordinary circumstances. It's I don't know. It's a timeless storyline, I guess. It's one of my favorites. I don't know why people like it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that kind of sets us apart from a lot of those films you mentioned, which do use that formula, in that we are totally ordinary kids who come from the outside world and a totally kind of relatable environment. Unless we are ordinary and unless we're kind of recognizable as being kind of one of the audience, then I don't think it would work to the same extent. And also Dylan's character is like a symbol of hope, for not only everyone in our little world, our micro environment of the Glade, but everyone outside. He kind of represents, I suppose, a better future for humanity, which is quite exciting. Maze Runner seems to have a bit more real-world application than some of the others, I think. And that's because, you're not sort of thrust into this dystopian environment straight away. You're trapped within an environment which is somewhere, on Earth. It's somewhere real.
There's a lot of influences of some other. I mean, there's some other properties. Obviously, there's some Lord of the Flies in it. Even Lost, you can kind of take references from it. Were there any particular properties, I guess, that you may have looked at for inspiration and try to piece together your character and your place in this whole thing, that you were able to, I guess, draw from or identify with, or say that is somewhat similar to what we're doing? Let me view that and kind of take and incorporate it into what we're doing.
I don't know. This story always kind of just inspired as much inspiration as I needed. I think it's so original in its own world, in and of itself, that I didn't really need any other frame of reference. I knew what kind of movie we were going for, but it's so much about what's great about these stories is it sort of like takes that super heroic idea, but it humanizes it. It's like. It's more celebrated that these kids, in a world that's sort of like lost human qualities like heart and hope, things like that, like these kids sort of bring that back, and I don't know, it's like this is an original story, so it's kind of just it inspires itself. Like it's all I needed to the book, and the script, the story, what we were doing was really all I needed to go off of.
There are a lot of unique factors. The one that springs to mind for me, just in terms of the one that kind of encapsulated the kind of brotherhood and the camaraderie that this film kind of also has about it, was Hook for me. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to be a Lost Boy, so that was kind of one of the reasons I wanted to be part of the Gladers and part of this movie.
Are you Rufio? Does that mean you're Rufio?
I'm not Rufio. Well, it's weird because the relationship between Pan and Rufio in that film, and the power shift that happens, everyone kind of respects Rufio. And then there's this kind of shift, like a respect and fear combination with Rufio, which there is kind of slightly going for Gally, and then it totally shifts over to Pan, it totally shifts over to Thomas. And, that thing of like Rufio drawing the line in the sand and everyone crossing over kind of was similar to, the moment that we had where you're like,
right.
we're getting out, you can come with You that way, right?
Yeah.
Just trying to, you know,
He's
you can come
holding
with
a
us.
spear.
And
Do we have a
everyone
spear?
comes
Can
up.
we
Do we
get
have
a
a spear? Quick, and some sand. Bed it down real quick. So that was kind of weird for me, and it was something I only kind of realised after shooting. I was like, geez, you know, that's a like strange parallel. But this has a lot of unique features, you know, and as Dylan said, it's its own movie entirely. We didn't set out to make a film that kind of, you know, tailed off the back of any of the others, and we weren't looking to do an impersonation. You know, it has a bunch of qualities that make it, you know, very unique. The first being that it's a lead male as opposed to a lead female. It's not about, you know, pitting kids against each other or competition. It's about the opposite. It's about coming together and celebrating the strength of, you know, of sort of more heads and human action en masse, you know.
That's the biggest difference between this and Lord of the Flies, you know, like it's very much sort of that same world, but with the opposite results, you know, like, you know, James Dashner has this theory about humans that they're innately good and that they're good intention, and that this is how they would react in a situation like this, rather than, you know, losing it and you know, becoming vicious with each other and power hungry. And it's interesting. It's good. It's what's so nice to be a part of, because it's like a fresher, better intentioned take on a really cool idea.